Take a look around you, Woody. Leaks. Leaks everywhere.
Seriously, I have never known a manga chapter of Super to get so many spoilers prior to release. That's right everyone, Dragon Ball Super the Manga Chapter 62 is here, and I'm sorry. The amount of leaks that I have seen for this chapter in the past few days prior to this release was just phenomenal, and not in a good way. I didn't think that I could handle it and actually get past them. Anybody who was a Vegeta fan had a very rude awakening. I guess those foreboding comments that I had of the Prince's thumbs up jinx were right after all. In any case, we are able to read the manga chapter instantly and in English as soon as it does in Japan, thanks to the services that Viz provides. And no, this is not a sponsorship segment, I really genuinely like this service. For a couple of bucks a month, I think it's like $1.99, you can get this manga Super to enjoy as well as anything that Shonen Jump makes or made. It helps support the manga artist, so that's the big plus for me. It's definitely worth a look. And also check out tomorrow for the extra long review of this chapter, all thanks to our podcast Up on the Lookout, and also subscribe on your podcasting platform of choice. Chapter 62, Edge of Defeat. Are we though? Well, we are on the edge of belief with the fact that we got the Vegeta downfall, and we still got probably a few more chapters to go through. Jeez. Before we begin, do check out the Masako X store for your favourite merch from the channel, including the unsubscribe shirt, that's a genuine classic, as well as plenty of R&R stuff, and of course my favourite hidden gem, My True Power. You too can spout out the classic Dragon Ball cliche of, I have yet to show you my true power, for all to see that shirt. Go to masako.cc/store for more. Thanks. Where we last left off, we saw the extent of what Vegeta had been doing. Instead of getting Ultra Instinct or another Super Saiyan transformation, we got something that was a little more welcome. A new technique that was actually pretty handy and quite honestly, pretty formidable. Force Spirit Fission allows the user to negate the energy of anything to do with absorbing power or fusing together. So that meant that Moro, who had been harboring up power for so long, was now powerless against Vegeta. Until it became clear that bringing Moro down to size was one thing, but it's no good that if you forget that the Ram Man is a magician, a warlock, he knows magic, he can still do certain things you can't. Dang. As a result, Moro could slink and swallow 7-3, which meant that Vegeta could do nothing about that, and we then got Moro 7-3. But for the purposes of today's review, I'll mostly be referring to him as Moro. But it's a disappointingly conventional design all the same, but something with enough power to slam Vegeta into the dust. Yay! Admittedly, yeah, I was disappointed with the previous chapter in a way, and its ending, but here's to a better outing today as we continue with Chapter 62. We resume the story with Moro confirming that his power is now that of himself and 7-3, and Goku isn't a happy bunny about this. Like we mentioned last time out, and plenty of times before then, Goku is now facing a guy he doesn't want to fight anymore, which is actually a very refreshing stance for Goku. Instead of wanting to fight strong guys blindly and actually getting something he enjoys, he's now getting something what he thinks he wants, but he can't stand it anymore, he's not enjoying it. It's like Goku having his cake and eating it, and then realizing it's all cake. We get an extremely nettled Vegeta rise up from the ground, and this is a Vegeta that is really on the edge and angry. He thinks he can take this guy down? Well, maybe it was along the lines of him just going, oh yeah? Well, I was testing you. You shall fall down again, but blah! Yeah, I'm getting vibes about that, and I'm only on page 3. I feel like I'm gonna be right before we hit the double digits. Until then, Moro mentions that Vegeta's technique could still work in a way, but so long as his enemy can avoid attacks, which is what he's doing right now, there's nothing that Vegeta can do about it. And Gohan, I don't know what's gone up with Gohan, but for the last few chapters, he's basically just been standing there spouting off one thing after another, and it's either something trivial or something that is meant to move the plot along. He's now become something you dump exposition on. And I thought this was meant to be the resurgence of Gohan, and it did seem that way since Toyotaro has confessed that he's a Gohan fan. I guess that wasn't enough. Either way, Moro bursts their bubble and says that this coming together will not run out, as the power has returned home. No 30-minute time limits, he won't be splitting up or reducing in power anytime soon, or ever. In fact, he's going to be adding to it. It turns out that he's now also gained the same trait of 7-3 and can absorb powers through his hands. And I'm getting very major Android 19 flashbacks here. And it's a bit ironic that, it's on Vegeta. Sure enough, he has the power of Vegeta now, but hey, at least he didn't take over Vegeta's body. That's a little win, right? At least something the prince can say. I know, I'm clutching at straws, I know. We get that displayed to us also with something concerning Android 19, with something that Moro73 discovered.
Welcome to Moro's Big Bang Attack!
It doesn't have the same ring, does it? And so Vegeta gets wasted by his own move. Oh, that's gotta hurt his pride something bad, isn't it? Not quite. Topping it all off, Moro even downs on the move, so not only are we getting Moro stealing Vegeta's power, he even has the audacity to disrespect them, rag on them, calling them ordinary attacks with blusterous names. How dare! There is a plus out of this. With Moro knowing Spirit Fission, this means that Goku cannot rely on fusion of any kind, because Moro can cancel it out or break it apart, meaning no Gogeta. Yes, I know it's bad for them, but for us as an audience, it's actually pretty assuring. And as much as I like Gogeta, I'm glad that that won't happen here. It was really cool to see in the Broly movie it now being in theory canonized, but to see it again so soon would be a little much and also a little predictable. I mean, good on you, Toyotaro. That didn't occur to me last time that you couldn't do fusion, that it'd be pointless. Not too shabby there. Just then, Dende does the first major thing he's done in Super, and that is to actually offer to go down and heal people on the ground, and I must say that it was something really good to see. Instead of pulling a typical Kami, now that he was a little older and more instilled in the position as Guardian, knowing the ropes inside and out, he is actually taking matters into his own hands and offering direct help. Yes, it is breaking the guidelines of his job, but right now, go Little Green, go! We even have the secondary Bean Daddy on his way with some Senzu Beans, ready so at least one of these methods of healing is gonna work, but it's all a matter of time as Gohan and Piccolo now do the best that they can against Moro. But what do you think if Vegeta Blue Evolution couldn't work? Yeah, just what I thought. Oh well. It at least gave us some shots of this pair doing something, and this something is a little more ingenious than you might first think. They are using the fact that Moro is not planning to end them right now, because he needs them to have as good food, to lure him in, and then for Gohan to hold him down, and then Goku to instant transmission himself in with a Kamehameha reminiscent to the Cell Saga. Nice little callback, and it's also good teamwork and a good visual in its own right. I mean, not that it's gonna work or anything, but it's still great to see, and it takes up 4 pages. Result. But then this is where things get very dark. So dark, in fact. I'm not so sure whether the anime could do this or not. Moro's arm has been vaporized, but he doesn't seem to be all that bothered, and he casually approaches Goku in a Jotaro fashion, and then regenerates his arm through Goku's torso. Yeah, he's still got Piccolo's attacks and techniques, and to speak as Goku, dark. Well, more accurately, it's 7-3 who still has that power from before. In any case, Goku's got another hole in the chest. That's like, I don't know, like the 3rd, 4th time? And yes, Piccolo's thing, that doesn't have a time limit on it either, nor does Vegeta. That's pretty brutal, I must say. Goku is now on the verge of death, but Gohan comes in to help, but they're all being kept alive enough to have their energy drained, so in a way, this is all becoming a game and mainly just brutal fan service for us to see. And despite Moro's lackluster design now, his manner and actions are very much the same to the previous Ram Man. And yeah, that Dende thing, that ain't gonna happen. Because another power Moro has is telepathy. So Dende is stood down and now Krillin cannot get in to help because there is now a force field around the area. But to be fair, I don't think Krillin's losing too much sleep about it. He's going, oh no, I can't get in. Ah, gosh darn it, I have to go home. So it goes even more like you would think, with the androids being finger-banged into oblivion, but the manner it's done, that's cool. Piccolo then apologizes before then gathering power by doing an evil explosion, or more accurately like a super evil explosion. In short, he's about to pull a Vegeta. And I never thought that Piccolo of all people would try and emulate Vegeta. But unfortunately he doesn't get a chance to, since he is then special beam cannoned in the torso, and that leaves only Jaco. Can we take a second to process this, please? Jaco is the last one standing. Who would have seen that coming? I don't think even Jaco did. Suddenly, though, we get an angel coming in to help, with the force field being temporarily opened by someone. Either way, Dende can do his thing now. Jaco stands firm and then he fires his laser, and it manages to distract Moro for a second. But it's not Jaco's laser, it's from someone else. Mirus is back. And he means business. Gone are the robes of an angel, and he is now wearing his old uniform. Looks like he is making his bed and risking erasure. Then so the chapter ends. All in all, this chapter was pretty brutal for something like Dragon Ball Super, and quite frankly, I am surprised that it will be emulated closely in the anime. I don't think that's going to happen. This is Dragon Ball Z levels of intensity here. But even if that turns out to be the case and it's watered down or something, we at least got to see it in some shape or form, so we can say it exists. Mirrors has now chosen to come down from on high and risk his life despite having everlasting life and fixing his mistakes. The GP's not going to be happy. I mean, it's noble indeed and something we did sort of predict months ago, but given that he'd been taken out of the equation by Whis personally, it felt that that plot point had slipped us by. I guess not. Either way, I'm happy. This chapter was also really well framed, and it felt a little more dynamic than usual than most Toyotaro panels. They're not actually contained in the square or rectangle. Some of the characters are actually allowed to escape the bounds of the panels, and it makes it feel a bit more impactful. It feels like Toyotaro's learning. I mean, not that the content wasn't impactful already, but you know what I mean. Also, the Vegeta thing was very sad to see, but I guess the thing that helped ease the pain a bit was the ironic pounding that he got. He got stopped by his own attack. It was Moro going, "Stop hitting yourself." And it all added to the impact of Moro now knowing Vegeta and Piccolo's power, and in a way showing how these two techniques work really well together if they were in the same being. Like if Vegeta and Piccolo fused. Fan art. And it also goes to show that Moro is probably one of the least grandiose villains the show has seen in a long time. He does not want to showboat here. He just wants to make people suffer for his own ends. And he doesn't care how he does it. This guy is pretty relentless, and this is something that we've rarely seen, and something I'm glad we've seen. Granted, we still wish Moro's new design was better integrated with his roundness, but it's not absolutely awful, at least. And what helps us is that we can look the other way when we see how he uses his power. To me, it feels pretty hopeless for our gang, and to see Goku go down like that, and so viciously, is really frightening. And as for the others, they were there to show genuine solidarity, and at least they came in and did stuff, and didn't just stand there as per usual watching Goku getting wasted. They gave it a try, and despite their failure to land an impact, they at least justified their presence. Even Jaco was doing something, and being brave in his own unique way. I'm curious to see how this turns out, but for now, I'm content. If this is anything to go by though, the next chapter is going to flop. Here's hoping that I'm wrong. So what do you guys think of chapter 62? Has this gotten you curious for what is going to come next, or are you feeling it's just, again, going to be predictable? As usual, I shall see you next month for chapter 63. Until then, guys, catch you later.